Playing a pretty typical LSU team. They're very good up front on both sides of the football. They have a lot of speed, in all positions. Obviously, they've been very good on Saturday nights at home, so we definitely have our work cut out for us.
Questions?
Take it through the fourth quarters all this season. You guys are outscoring opponents 20-0. Is it conditioning? Just adjustments? What is it?
Well, I'd like to think it starts with conditioning. Our guys have worked extremely hard. In the weight room, conditioning, the way we practice, I think has a lot to do with that. And to tribute to our guys making adjustments, as the game goes on.
Their offense a little bit different. They seem more willing to go vertical than they have in practice.
Yeah, they've got two very good receivers. Their quarterback has done a good job. He's protected the football. I believe he hadn't thrown a interception yet. And quite a few touchdowns. Anytime you couple that with a good running game, which they do have a very good running game, that's a challenge.
When teams stack the box against you guys to stop the run, obviously you got to plan to do what they give you, but how much emphasis is going to be to establish the run against teams that know you're going to run?
Well, I think we're a run play action team, and so we're definitely going to have to be able to run the football in any game to be successful. And at the same time, when they add an extra guy down, you can't block. You got to be able to throw it. And so we're still working, on our passing game, and I think we improved, last week.
You say just what?
So you said last week that you felt about as comfortable with Nick throwing the ball as a guy with two starts, and now that he led that comeback, or the last drives, how more comfortable do you feel with him? How much more comfortable?
Well, that's got to help the way that he ended the game last week, and you look back at the game, and I think we had a few drops. We had an overthrow, but at the same time, I felt like that he did a good job throwing the football, and I think he'll be more comfortable, each week.
Do you think that just gives opponents something else to think about? Like MSU stacking the box, now LSU's got to think, Nick can throw the ball quite well.
I hope so. I hope that'll help us moving forward. I know it'll give our offensive coaches confidence to call what they give you.
What impresses you most about Zach Mettenberger as a quarterback?
Probably the way that he's protected the football. I believe he has 9 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That says a lot. He's making good decisions.
Coach, and seeing Nick perform the way he did, how much confidence does it give for you and for him going forward with y'all?
Yeah, last week definitely helped. There's no doubt. Each game you learn more about him. He learns more about us. He gets more comfortable. We got a big challenge this week. This is the best defense that we played against on the road in a hostile environment. We've got to deal with the elements and the noise and everything that goes with that.
Gus, I don't know how much you actually kind of look at the other scores and other stats of the other games, but some of the offensive stats that were put up this past weekend were kind of otherworldly. Bama gave up 268, Tennessee to Oregon 687. You see that kind of offense happening around the country more and more. What do you think about it?
Really, that's the first time I heard of that. So, I was so focused on what we're doing. We're just trying to get better each game offensively and take it one game at a time. So, can't really speak too much for all the rest until we get there.
Going into a game here where Mettenberger used to be at Georgia, Nick Marshall used to be at Georgia. Now they're both starting quarterbacks in the West. You never see that. You just talk about the second chances they've been given at these two different schools, and what you think of that going into this type of game.
Well, Nick, we're glad to have him. There's no doubt. We feel like he'll get better each game. And as far as Mettenberg, he looks like a very solid quarterback.
Guys, is it fair to say this is how much of a gauge are you reading into this game on the road?
Yeah.
With where your program is, and how do you view it?
Yeah, I think it is a good gauge. Just like last week, playing an SEC team at home. I told our guys, hey, we're going to find out, where we're at after this game, how we respond to different things. And I think this is no different. First road test against a top 10 team in the country to see where we're at. And it'll be good to go there and judge and look back and see where we're at.
Coach, following up on Brandon's question a minute ago, how much did you emphasize to Nick, hey, this is a second chance, make the most of it, and how much has he embraced that?
Yeah, we recruited him, and he came here. We made clear our expectations, and you'll have a fair chance to compete for the job. He won the job. Told him what the job entails, not just playing quarterback, but everything else that goes with that on and off the field. And he's done everything we've asked with a great attitude. You know, Coach Lashley's coached him extremely hard and been very demanding on him, and he's responded well.
How's he been off the field? A lot of receivers were telling reporters after the game about just individual moments going up to him and saying, "You got this," and not just on the winning drive. He seems to be quite the leader, even though he's...
Yeah, he is. He's kind of a quiet leader, but he doesn't get too high or too low. He stays calm and collective in all moments, and he's earned the respect of his teammates through his practice habits and the way he handles the stuff.
Gus, LSU's defense has gotten off to quite a hot start, and there's always a perennial contender and whatnot. They've lost a lot of personnel to the NFL last year, obviously. Is there a weakness you've been able to notice with all those losses in personnel, even though they started off quite hot? Is there a weakness you've been able to see thus far?
Yeah, I tell you what, they're few and far between. They've got good players at just about every position. They tackle well. They're very aggressive. You know, Coach Chavis is one of the best in the business, and that's the way he coaches. And his guys can run. I mean, they're probably one of the faster defenses in the country, and that's something you got to deal with.
Gus, I mean, the SEC for the longest time really, with Alabama and some of those guys, were known as the defensive conference. Other conferences had the big stats. SEC called defense. This year, not so much. What do you usually do?
Well, you know, in the West specifically, I mean, it may be a week that a team gives up a lot of yards, but year in and year out, it's going to be the best defensive league in college football, and I still believe at the end of the day it will be.
After Saturday's game goes down, obviously the last couple of seconds, and some plays around the country where there were some controversial endings, have you had to reiterate the new rules of the final 2-second rules and things like that, and just not only to yourself, your staff, but the players, just to go over those things again?
Yeah, the new rules with the clock, and if there's 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you know, we've addressed that numerous times in fall camp and periodically since the season started. You're always trying to play what if, you know, in the game situations, to have your guys prepared. We worked extremely hard on those situations, and hopefully when one comes up similar to that, we'll be prepared. It'll work out.
Talk about your team's success in the red zone. I believe you're 10 for 10 in scoring chances.
Yeah, that's very important. We got a very good field goal kicker that helps with that. We protected the football down there going in, which is a big part of that. And we'll have to continue, you know, that kind of success in the red zone.
Using the tight ends, obviously you got them involved. CJ obviously, and then Brandon with the catch on the 2-point conversion. Talk about just getting them more involved in the matchup problems that CJ does create.
Yeah, both those guys are big, long guys. They got good receiving skills, and they both came up big. And I think that'll give us, you know, more pieces of the puzzle as we move forward, you know, with our offensive progression.
Gus, updates on Chris Davis and Jeff Whitaker at this point?
Chris Davis, he's day-to-day. We'll see what happens this week with him, and you know, Whitaker is very similar.
Was it good to get D back on the field?
I think so. You know, I think the first half he's probably a little cautious, but the second half, you know, I think he had confidence in his knee and really performed well.
How big is that going to be for you guys to play on the defensive line to be able to control maybe the line of scrimmage?
You know, I think it's very, very important to have an impact player. He's definitely an impact player. He can put pressure on the quarterback by himself, and he's a leader.
How concerned are you with the struggles running the ball against Mississippi State? I mean, obviously that made you kind of one-dimensional against them.
Yeah, well, first of all, Mississippi State was pretty good against the run, and they brought in an extra guy down from time to time, and so we just got to do a better job of keeping off balance. But the positive thing was we were able to throw the football, and you know, each week may be a little bit different, and but we need to be able to run the football when the numbers, you know, let us.
Coach, the first of the year you guys talked about not pushing Nick Marshall too much too soon. Does it worry you a little bit going into his first road game at LSU? Do you have any reservations, or did last week kind of prove that he has earned full reign of the offense?
Well, you know, each week we're going to add a little more to it and see what he can handle and see what he's comfortable with. The challenge this week will be on the road with the crowd noise and everything that goes with that. But you know, each week we're going to add to his, you know, to his playbook.
He's of late here, he struggled a little bit offensively, specifically in the second and third quarter. What have you noticed with that? What's the issue there?
Yeah, we're definitely looking into that, you know, as far as the second quarter and then coming out of halftime, you know, in the past, we've been pretty solid coming out of halftime. We got to improve, but the big thing has probably been the second quarter. We got to find a way to get a little more rhythm, and, you know, execute better.
So teams just adjusting to you guys, and
I think it's a little bit of both, you know, teams adjusting. If we hurt them on something in the first quarter, them adjusting, taking something else away and making us do something different. And so I think it's a little bit of all of the above.
A lot of players talk about how you guys rep the 2-minute drill and everything, but noticing you on the sideline, you're calling plays before, I think Mark State's caught a ball and he's not even out of bounds yet, and you're already getting. How much prep do you guys put into that, and you specifically in getting the next play call?
Yeah, I think as a coach, you know, it's always good to put yourself in those type of situations before, and the fact that we do it, you know, a couple times a week, I know that helps. You're already kind of thinking ahead, and, but it was all really about our players executing that last drive. I mean, they did a very solid job.
Do you kind of live for those moments, though? It seems like you get a little bit.
You know, as a coach into the game, you just, you know, your biggest challenge is always be prepared and always be thinking ahead, and, you know, making sure that your players are prepared and that they've repped it and they went over it. No matter what look they get, they're prepared. And then you see what happens. But, you know, coaching at the end of the game, especially when something positive happens, is that's good.
Yes, Reese and Chris Davis have been captains for each of the 3 games. Is that a season-long decision?
What's that?
Reese and Chris Davis have been captains each of the 3 games. Is that a season-long?
Yeah, I just like putting guys out there and being consistent in a lot of different things. That's one of them.
You all kind of saw the tape, the excitement you had on that last touchdown, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, but kind of walk us through that last moment. You know, we've seen you animated on the sideline.
Yeah.
But what was that kind of moment like for you?
Yeah, you know, I'm a very emotional coach, and you know, that's the way I coach, and that's who I am, and you know, I was very, very proud of our team at the end. Very proud. That was big what they did and the way we responded, and that'll help us moving forward.
You ever swallowed your gum on the sideline? Excitement? That ever happened?
I've gotten better in that area. I think I didn't chew that much the other night.
Each week you mention you like seeing how the team responds and, you know, to adverse situations. Do you feel like you learned more having to have a win that required a last-minute drive like that compared to if you'd won by 3 touchdowns and didn't have any kind of?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, that's when you really find out you know, decision moments, you know, that could go either way. You find out more about your team than you do winning by 3 touchdowns. I mean, so I thought it was really good to be able to win a game like that. And that'll give you confidence moving forward. You know, football is, you know, there's a lot of mental things that go on with winning, expecting to win, knowing how to win. And I think that'll help us, you know, moving forward. Matter of fact, I know it'll help us moving forward. If we have situations like that, you know, our guys will believe they can win.
I know Ellis has a good handle on the defense, but he doesn't want these trash plays, they call them the big plays. Just what have you noticed? And obviously you guys are pretty high up there in scoring defense, but the chunk plays have hurt you guys at times.
Yeah, well, first of all, Ellis Johnson's one of the better defense coordinators in all of college football, and you know, similar to offense, they're a work in progress too. They've had some injuries, and some guys have to step up, and so, you know, the more consistent we can be with our personnel moving forward, you know, the more consistent those guys will be.
Last week in practice, you know, one of the big things was cut down the penalties and 3rd downs. And how about this week? Anything in particular?
Well, it's the same thing, you know, as far as that goes. Penalties, especially being on the road, you know, and then just the base execution of our offense and our defense. Like I said, we're still a work in progress on both sides, and so just keep getting better at what we do, and you know, not beating ourselves.
Gus, how much does obviously the rivalry with LSU has been really close a lot of the last couple of years, except for about 2, I think, the last 6. So how much does last week's win and the way you want to give you confidence going in, given the history of that?
Well, I mean, you know, when you win, I mean, obviously that helps you, but this is a different challenge. You know, playing a top 10 team on the road. We've had a good rivalry with LSU. They're a very good team. They're going to make you earn it, and they got big playability on offense, so it'll be a challenge.